So much, in fact, this past September, I joined over 3,000 others in a 60-mile, 3-day event benefiting the Susan G. Komen for the Cure Foundation. Beginning with day 1. My good friend Vicki picked me up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take me to the opening ceremonies at Bellevue Community College. Upon arriving, we were both amazed at how many people were already there. As she was not participating in the event, she dropped me off and wished me well. After a few minutes of stretching and months and months and months of working out, we were so excited to get started. After several announcements were made, several breast cancer survivors were introduced. One by one, these women walked to the stage carrying banners emblazoned with words of encouragement. Our route for this day would take us all around Bellevue, with only designated stops along the way, and we could rest our feet and have a snack. Also along this route, there were many people on the streets cheering us on, handing out snacks, and since it was a really warm weekend, cooling us down with mist from the squirt bottles. As you would imagine, I met a lot of really great people on this event. One woman in particular, a 3-time breast cancer survivor, was standing on the grass cheering us on as we walked by. Talk about being inspired. Several hours later, we finally made it to our camp at Marymore Park in Redmond, a pink tent city. I only had enough energy left to set up my own tent and rest for a while before slowly getting back up and hobbling my way to the food tent for my evening meal and some musical entertainment. It was early to bed for this tired group of warriors and early to rise for day 2. We woke up to foggy skies and very sore feet. Our route for this day would take us all around Redmond with a nice lunch break at Juanita Beach Park. It felt so good to just sit down. I removed gently my shoes, massaged my sore feet, and I changed my socks and wolfed down a nice tasty meal before heading towards Kirkland, a nice pleasant walk, before a nice long walk back to Marymore Park. With just a mile to go to reach camp, and my feet were killing me. I'm barely able to make it along, limping all the while, barely, and from behind me comes this group of cheerleaders, and they're just dancing like this, shaking on their feet, and singing happy songs. And I'm thinking, there's just no way they just walked 20 miles. By the time I got back to camp, I headed straight to the food tent for another hearty meal and some more musical entertainment, some dancing. And for those of us that are just too sore to dance on their feet, we could just as easily dance. So after another long day of walking, just a couple of hours of chair dancing, we were so sore and exhausted. We were greatly anticipating our 3rd and final day. We had to get up even earlier this day to break camp. We also herded onto buses like cattle, waiting to take us across 520 for our final starting point, the Arboretum. From the Arboretum, we went through the University of Washington, where the sorority gals high-fived us as we drove by. And then it was down to Green Lake. Halfway around the lake, I'm just limping along, just aching, quietly complaining about my sore feet the whole time. And from behind me, I hear these 2 women conversing. I am amazed that after a month ago you had major breast cancer surgery, here you are, participating in this. Oh, I'm complaining about my feet. Continued on around the lake, up past the Willow Park Zoo, through Wallingford, and down a long hill to Gasworks Park for a final 3-day lunch. After a few minutes rest, it was on up to Fremont, and across the bridge, and down all along this lake, through a busy downtown Seattle, then down to the waterfront for our final rest stop before heading towards the closing ceremonies. We were all dragging ourselves all along the waterfront, heading north before cutting through the sculpture park. Just a few more blocks to go for our final destination, Memorial Stadium. Outside the stadium, I was overwhelmed, overcome with emotion with all the people cheering us on as we entered. Everybody was yelling and screaming, "Thank you so much for walking. You did it. Thank you. Awesome. Great job. Woohoo!" Inside the stadium, we packed the place. All those cheering fans, all the walkers. The breast cancer survivors were the last to enter the stadium, carrying the same banners that had been carried throughout the entire weekend by other walkers. As they took to their assigned stage, hundreds of tennis shoes were lifted high into the air as a sign of team spirit. We were very sore and exhausted, but we were also victorious. As part of the closing ceremonies, an announcement had been made that all of the walkers had helped to raise over $8.6 million in the fight against breast cancer. The thrill of victory, and yes, agony of defeat.
Oh.
60 miles for 3 days. Yeah, I did that. I did that for those whose names are printed on my t-shirts. I did it for all of you, and all for myself, and all our friends and families. And just as the breast cancer survivors picked up banners and walked to inspire others, I hope that I have in some way inspired you to pick up your own banners and strive